Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get started.
Yeah,
So,
sounds good.
I just finished this psychological thriller, This Love Kills Me, by O.B. Whelan.
Okay.
And, wow,
Yeah,
what a whirlwind.
I've heard good things about that one.
It's got everything with mystery, suspense,
Huh.
and some seriously complex characters.
Oh, cool.
This one had me hooked from the very first page.
I bet.
The way Whelan just drops these little clues throughout the story, and then, bam, this
Oh.
huge plot twist hits you out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like she's playing chess with your mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Each move just seems calculated to keep you guessing till the very end.
Exactly.
I was particularly impressed with how she uses Julia's diary entries.
Oh, yeah.
They aren't just plot devices. They offer a glimpse into Julia's psyche,
Yeah.
her fears, her hopes, and the cracks in her seemingly perfect life.
Yeah, so let's unpack this,
Right.
starting at the very beginning.
That's good.
The story centers on Annie, our protagonist.
Right.
Now, Annie's had a really rough past.
Yeah, I read a little bit about that.
She's a survivor of human trafficking,
Wow.
escaped a Mexican brothel,
Oh my God.
and is desperately trying to build a new life for herself.
Right.
But her past isn't something you can just shake off, right?
No, absolutely not.
It's woven into the very fabric of her being.
Definitely. And that's what makes Annie such a compelling character.
I know.
She's not just running from something.
Yeah.
She's fighting to become someone new,
Uh-huh.
someone whole.
I like that.
And this journey, her quest for healing and redemption,
Yeah.
becomes intertwined with the mystery surrounding Julia Rose,
Okay.
a famous author who vanished without a trace.
Right. And here's where the story takes a fascinating turn.
Okay.
Annie ends up working with Brooke Russell,
Brooke?
Yeah.
Okay.
a lawyer who represented Julia before her disappearance.
Okay, I see.
Now, Brooke suspects foul play,
Uh-huh.
especially since Julia's husband, Tony,
Right.
inherited her entire fortune.
Oh, wow.
So they team up to uncover the truth.
Okay.
But their investigation is anything but straightforward.
I bet.
What I think is intriguing here
Yeah.
is how both Annie and Julia,
Uh-huh.
despite their vastly different background,
Right.
are connected by their experiences with trauma manipulation and a desperate yearning for freedom.
Yeah, definitely. They're both searching for a way to reclaim their lives from the men who sought to control them.
Yeah, and that parallel, that shared experience of being trapped,
Right.
is what draws Annie into this twisted mystery.
Yeah, I can see that.
She sees a reflection of herself in Julia's story,
Uh-huh.
in her struggles and in her desperate search for a way out.
Right.
So tell me more about Julia's life.
Sure.
What was it like before she disappeared?
Well,
We know she was married to Tony,
right.
a successful businessman,
Uh-huh.
but the story reveals a much darker reality behind their picture-perfect facade, right?
Absolutely. Julia's diary entries paint a very different picture of her marriage.
Oh, really?
She suspects Tony of infidelity,
Wow.
and her entries are filled with heartache,
Oh,
suspicion,
okay.
and a growing sense of isolation. She even hired a private investigator to confirm her suspicions.
No way.
This discovery of betrayal, the shattering of your trust,
Right.
becomes a pivotal point in her story.
So there was already trouble in paradise before the cruise.
Definitely.
Did anything particularly stand out to you in Julia's diary about the events leading up to her disappearance?
There's a particularly poignant entry where Julia describes feeling like a prisoner in her own life,
Oh, wow.
trapped in this gilded cage of wealth and privilege.
Yeah.
She yearns for authenticity, for genuine connection,
Right.
and for escape from the suffocating web of secrets and lies that surround her.
That's got to be hard.
It is.
It's heartbreaking, really,
Yeah.
to see how her dreams and aspirations are slowly being crushed by the weight of her circumstances.
Yeah.
So the cruise was a family affair.
It was.
Was there anything in her diary entries about this cruise?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Leading up to the cruise, Julia's diary entries mention that she had seen the photos from the private investigator,
Oh, no.
and they confirm that Tony was in fact meeting with another woman.
Oh, man. Talk about family drama.
I know, right?
What happened on that cruise?
Well, according to her diary, things came to a head during a seemingly innocent game of the newlywed game on the cruise ship.
Okay.
It all fun and games at first, but then Julia's responses take a dark turn.
Oh.
She publicly accuses Tony of infidelity,
Yikes.
creating this incredibly tense and awkward atmosphere
Oh, wow.
that foreshadows the tragic events to come.
I bet that went over well with Tony and the rest of the family.
Oh, it didn't.
What happened after the game?
Later that night, Julia disappears.
What?
She's last seen on the ship's deck arguing with Tony,
Oh, my gosh.
and that's where her diary entries end, leaving so many unanswered questions.
So this whole cruise was a powder keg of family secrets and resentments just waiting to explode.
It really
Was
was.
I'm guessing the police were brought in to investigate.
But of
What did
course,
they conclude?
despite the suspicious circumstances surrounding her disappearance,
Way.
the authorities eventually ruled Julia's death an accident,
What?
concluding that she likely fell overboard during the argument with Tony.
Really?
However, Brooke refuses to accept this verdict.
Okay.
She believes there's more to the story
Uh-huh.
and is convinced that Tony is somehow involved in Julia's death.
Okay, so Brooke has her reasons.
She does.
But how does Annie,
Right.
someone who's trying to rebuild her life,
Yeah.
get roped into this dangerous investigation?
Well, Brooke approaches Annie, recognizing the similarities between her and Julie.
I could see that.
She shows Annie Julia's diary
Okay.
and appeals to her sense of empathy and justice.
Hmm?
She believes that Annie's unique understanding of trauma and survival
Uh-huh.
will give them an edge in the investigation.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Someone who's experienced that level of manipulation and control
Right.
would be incredibly insightful
Yeah.
in reading people and situations.
But I'm guessing Annie doesn't jump at the chance to get involved.
You're right about that.
What convinces her to join forces with Brooke?
Reading about Julia's struggles, her fears,
Okay.
and her attempts to escape her troubled life
Right.
resonates deeply with Annie.
Yeah.
She sees a reflection of herself in Julia's words
Mhm.
and is drawn into the mystery.
So Annie agrees to help,
She does.
but she's not a trained investigator.
Right.
What's the plan? How
Well-
do they go about uncovering the truth?
Their investigation involves a daring act of deception.
Okay.
Annie, bearing a striking resemblance to Julia,
Uh-huh.
impersonates the deceased author
Wow.
to infiltrate Tony's inner circle.
That's risky.
It is.
The goal is to gather evidence, observe Tony's behavior,
Right.
and hopefully trigger a confession
Uh-huh.
or a slip-up that reveals his involvement in Julia's disappearance.
That's the plan.
I can't imagine that's easy for Annie.
It wasn't.
Pretending to be someone who,
Yeah.
in a way,
Uh.
represents everything she's trying to escape from.
Exactly.
And to make things even more difficult, they have to deal with Tony's family.
Oh, yeah.
His mother, Barbara,
Right.
is suspicious of Annie from the start,
Uh-huh.
while his brother, Justin,
Oh.
seems to be hiding secrets of his own.
Yeah, and Brooke also has her brother install hidden cameras in Tony's house to
What?
monitor his actions and conversations.
Wow, they really went all in on this surveillance operation.
They did.
So Annie's in deep cover,
Yeah,
surrounded by Julia's family and friends.
that's tense.
What happens next? Does
Uh.
he find anything that points to Tony's guilt?
During her time in Tony's house, Annie stumbles upon a hidden room filled with paintings.
Really?
And guess what?
What?
The paintings all depict scenes of Julia's life,
Hmm.
including her time in the brothel.
Whoa, hold on.
I know.
That's creepy on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Tony's obsessed with Julia,
Uh-huh.
even after her supposed death.
It appears so.
This is getting seriously twisted.
It is.
The paintings are disturbing.
They are.
And definitely add to the growing suspicion surrounding Tony.
Yeah, for sure.
But the real breakthrough comes when Annie discovers a video recording of Julia and Tony
Okay.
on the night of her disappearance.
Wow, this is huge.
Okay, this is huge.
Yeah.
What's the video reveal?
The video recorded by a fellow passenger on the cruise ship shows Julia and Tony during the newlywed game.
Okay.
Remember the tension in Julia's accusations?
Yeah.
The video captures the raw emotion and animosity between them.
Right.
It also captures Julia's sudden illness during the game.
Wait, she gets sick.
She does.
What happened?
The video shows Julia stumbling, touching her forehead, and appearing disoriented.
Uh-huh.
It's subtle, but it's definitely there.
Okay.
This raises questions about whether she was drugged,
Oh, wow.
and if so, by whom.
This is getting good.
It is.
The plot thickens.
It does.
The video also reveals another shocking detail.
It does.
You won't believe who was also on that cruise.
Really, Brooke?
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder if that was pure coincidence,
Mm.
or if she planned that.
It's possible.
But even if it was planned, why was she there in the first place?
Well, Tony had contacted her right after Julia's disappearance,
Okay.
wanting to hire her.
Uh-huh.
She was actually flying in from another country when that video was recorded.
So Brooke has been tangled up in this from the start.
Yeah, it seems so.
But the video doesn't actually show what happened to Julia.
Right.
What happens after that game in the video?
The video cuts out, but it does show Julia, Tony, and Justin leaving the piano room.
Right.
The passenger followed them to the deck.
Uh-huh.
And that's where things got heated between Julia and Tony.
So they were all out on deck. Did anything happen?
Julia accused Tony of having an affair
Yikes.
and mentioned the photos from the private investigator.
Wow.
Tony tried to deny everything.
Right.
But Julia was devastated and furious.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What about Justin?
Right.
Was he involved in the confrontation at all?
He tried to intervene, urging them to quiet down.
Okay.
He even told Tony to go check on their son, Sam.
Hmm.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
In Julia's diary, she mentioned a possible affair with Justin.
What?
So everything is so much more complicated than it initially seemed.
Oh my gosh, this family is full of secrets.
Definitely.
So does this video tell us what happened to Julia?
Unfortunately, the video ends before anything happens. It cuts out as things are escalating between Julia and Tony,
Right.
but it definitely helps give us a clear picture of what might have happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to be so close to the truth,
I know.
yet still so far away.
Yeah.
What about Annie? How does she react to seeing the video?
It really shakes her up.
Okay.
Remember, she's putting herself in Julia's shoes,
Right.
and it all hits very close to home for her.
Uh-huh.
The video, the diary entries, it all takes a toll on her.
Yeah.
He even starts having nightmares,
Oh no.
and her own traumatic memories start to resurface.
It must be so difficult for her
Yeah.
to separate her own past from Julia's story.
It is.
What about Brooke? How does she react to this new evidence?
Brooke is convinced that the video combined with the diary entries points to Tony's guilt.
Okay.
She thinks the stress of Julia's accusations and
Yeah.
the potential exposure of his affair might have driven him to murder.
She seems pretty set on Tony being the culprit.
She does.
Does she go to the police with this video?
Brooke is very much a lone wolf.
Okay.
She doesn't trust the authorities,
Yeah.
especially after they ruled Julia's death as an accident.
Uh-huh.
She's determined to expose the truth herself on her terms.
It sounds like she feels like she failed Julia before and wants to make things right.
Possibly.
But how does she plan on exposing Tony?
Well,
Does she confront him with the video?
not directly. She hatches this elaborate plan to expose Tony and his family.
Okay.
She invites everyone involved on a cruise.
Another cruise? Why does that sound familiar?
I know, right?
What's she hoping to achieve with this?
It's definitely a gamble, but Brooke believes being back on a ship will bring back memories and force the truth out.
It's like a psychological pressure cooker,
Yeah.
where everyone is forced to confront the past.
Exactly.
But isn't it risky bringing everyone together like that?
It is, and things get even more complicated when Brooke reveals Annie's true identity to everyone on the yacht.
Wow, she just throws a bomb right into the middle of everything.
I know, right?
What was everyone's reaction when they found out Annie wasn't really Julia?
Everyone is stunned, especially Tony.
Okay.
He demands answers, and Brooke seizes the opportunity to confront him about the affair
Uh-huh.
and accuse him of killing Julia.
The tension must have been through the roof.
It was.
What was Tony's response?
He denies everything.
Really?
Claims he loved Julia and would never hurt her. He's a smooth talker and very good at playing the victim.
So the truth is out, but no one is confessing to anything.
Right.
What happens next? Does Brooke have a backup plan? Or is this all just a big gamble?
Things take a very dark turn here.
Uh-oh.
Brooke, fueled by grief, anger, and frustration,
Oh,
loses control.
oh
He
no.
pulls a gun on the Rose family and threatens to kill them if they don't confess to killing Julia.
Hold on, a gun.
Yeah.
This is insane.
It is.
What's Annie doing while all of this is happening?
Annie is horrified.
Okay,
She wants justice for Julia,
right.
but she's starting to realize that Brooke has ulterior motives.
Things are clearly spiraling out of control. What happens next? Does Brooke actually follow through with her threat?
In a moment of complete chaos, Brooke forces Sylvia, Tony's sister,
Right.
out onto the deck
Okay.
and pushes her overboard.
Oh my God, Brooke pushed her. That is insane.
It is a shocking turn of events that leaves everyone speechless.
What happens after Sylvia goes overboard?
A rescue mission is immediately launched.
Okay.
Brooke pretends that Sylvia accidentally fell overboard.
Right.
With Sylvia missing, everyone starts pointing fingers.
I bet. But what about Tony? How does he react to all of this?
He's devastated. His wife is dead. His sister's missing.
Wow.
And now this
Yeah.
is a complete nightmare for him.
What about Brooke? Does she admit to pushing Sylvia?
No, she doubles down, accusing the Rose family of killing Julia and covering it up.
Wow.
It's clear that she's falling apart
Right.
and is no longer in control of her actions.
This is crazy. She's completely gone off the deep end. What about Annie? Does she try to stop Brooke?
Annie is torn. She wants justice, but she's horrified by what Brooke is doing.
Right.
Remember, violence and manipulation are a part of her past, and she doesn't want to be a part of that cycle.
It must be so difficult for her to see this happening, especially with her past.
It is.
So what happens next?
As the pressure mounts, Brooke becomes even more unhinged.
Okay.
She even shoots Justin in the arm during a confrontation.
This is so intense. Does anyone manage to stop her?
Yes, finally, Brooke's brother Bill manages to wrestle the gun away from her.
Thank goodness. But what happens to Brooke?
She's arrested for Sylvia's attempted murder
Okay.
and a bunch of other charges related to the events on the yacht.
So the truth about Brooke finally comes out.
It does.
But what about Julia? Do they figure out what really happened to her?
That's where the story takes another turn.
There's another twist.
Yes, while being questioned by the police, Tony admits to having an affair.
Wait, really? I thought he denied everything, so who was the other woman?
Tony confesses that the affair was with Sylvia.
Whoa, I did not see that coming. What about the photos that Julia had from the private investigator?
Those weren't actually photos of Tony with another woman. They were photos of Tony with his mother, Barbara.
Wow, so many secrets. What about Justin? Does the truth about him ever come out?
It does. During Brooke's trial, Justin testifies that he and Julia had a brief affair and that he believes he might be Sammy's father.
Oh my God, so Julia was involved with Tony's brother and his sister. This is unbelievable. What was Tony's reaction to this?
He's completely blindsided. Julia never told him about the affair, and he always believed that Sammy was his son. He's furious with Justin and Barbara for betraying him and keeping this secret for so long.
I don't blame him with all of these revelations. Do they ever figure out what happened to Julia?
That's the thing. The truth about her death remains a mystery. They reopen the investigation, but ultimately they can't determine for sure whether Julia jumped, fell accidentally, or was pushed.
So no one is ever held accountable for her death. What happens to everyone in the end?
Brooke is convicted of attempted murder for pushing Sylvia overboard and is sentenced to prison. Tony confirms that Sammy is his biological son and cuts ties with both Justin and Barbara. He focuses on raising Sammy, trying to create a stable life for him.
It sounds like a very tragic end to the story. What about Annie, though? Does she find any peace after everything she's been through?
Annie's journey takes an unexpected turn after the events on the yacht. She's deeply affected by the trauma she witnessed. She decides to return to Mexico to help rescue other women who were trapped in the brothel where she was held captive.
It sounds like even though she was searching for answers about Julia's death, she finds her own way to heal and find purpose. What a powerful message.
Absolutely. This Love Kills Me is a story about love betrayal and the impact of trauma. It reminds us that sometimes the search for justice leads us to unexpected consequences, and that true healing can come from helping others find freedom.
This has been a wild ride. What do you think the biggest takeaway is for our listeners?
I think it raises a lot of questions about truth, justice, and the complexities of human relationships. It highlights the resilience of the human spirit and the power of finding meaning even in the face of pain. It's a reminder that even though we search for answers, it's the journey itself that brings true healing.
It's a lot to think about. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoy the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge, spread the word.